Yes, FIFA, it's Matt, aka the Doc in the Arena, the guy that will give you those medical takes on sporting topics. Now today, Phil Jones interview reaction. I know what you're thinking, Why are we talking about Phil Jones? He hasn't played for Manchester United in years, and basically he's the butt of jokes for a lot of football fans out there at the moment. Well, I'm hoping I'll change your mind and you should stick around. And here's why. He did a really interesting interview with the Sunday Times just recently talking about his injury, which for a start was way worse than I thought it was. Way worse. And secondly, talking about the psychological toll that it's had on him and his family, etc, etc. So it was so interesting, it really drove me to do this video, and shout out to Vass in the Discord for making me aware of the situation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split it into two. This part is going to be focusing on the injury itself and why the injury was so bad, so you science buffs can get a kick out of that. And then the second part, I'm going to be talking about the psychological effects of being injured as a professional footballer. Other than that, as usual, as I say, if you like this type of content, hit like, subscribe, and also ping the bell so you know when the next video drops. Other than that, let's answer the question, what the hell happened to Phil Jones? Let's go. Right, so let's dive right into the article. I want you to hear what is said in the article about the injury, because it says some very specific points. Then I'm going to explain the significance of those points, all right? So let's go. The truth is that Jones, 29, has been fighting the same debilitating injury that put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out for 3 years as a player. It is severe meniscal damage, and his is to the lateral meniscus of his right knee. The issue first arose when he was an academy player in Blackburn, but flared up at the start of his second season with United. That was in 2012. Important points. He has had injury, severe right meniscal damage, lateral meniscus, and he's had that since 2012. Now let's take it to the anatomy talks. I want to explain to you the significance of what I'm saying. So on your screen, what you should be looking at is a knee. So up here would normally be your thigh bone, your femur coming down, and this is your lower leg bone sort of coming up. What I want you to do though is focus on these sort of disc-shaped cushions that sit on top of this bone, okay? These cushions are your menisci, okay? And that indeed is the right lateral meniscus which Phil Jones injured, okay? These menisci are super important, okay? Because they act as shock absorbers, so they reduce the stress. They reduce the forces basically going from your thigh bone, your femur, down into your tibia, okay? So literally, if you imagine bone on bone, it's a nice little cushion in between. So what's happened to Phil Jones is that he's had some sort of severe damage to that meniscus, very likely a meniscal tear. As a result of that, he's suffering symptoms, right? So the shock absorber in between the knee is torn. But listen to what happens next. Listen to what's happened next, because this part is extremely unusual, okay? He had surgery. Upon coming around, the surgeon bleakly explained that he had removed the meniscus. It was just not repairable. So how I've interpreted that is that they've actually had to remove the meniscus, okay? Removing the meniscus is extremely unusual nowadays, okay? Surgeons do not like to do it, but my interpretation of this article is that he's had the meniscus removed, and that explains why his knee was in such bad condition, okay? So if we go back to our anatomy tool, right? Okay. Basically, the surgeons had to basically just do that, bang. Get rid of the shock absorber, which leaves you bone on bone. Now, I can't stress to you enough the significance of removing the meniscus, so a total meniscectomy. If you remove the shock absorber between those two bones, the contact force between the two bones goes up by 235%. Yes, 235%. So you've got two bones just like that on top of each other, no shock absorber, just taking all the force, going up 234%. Plus, he's an active Premier League footballer using that knee 1,000 times more than a normal person. Guess what happens? The bones crunch and crunch together and the joint degenerates. So you are 14 times more likely to get arthritis if you have a total meniscectomy. 14 times. Ridiculously high at risk. So guess what happened to him? Guess. Let's take it back to the article. This surgery left Jones with bone crunching against bone inside the joint, as we've said. Linear movement was okay, but sideways impact often caused pain. Things were manageable until 2016 and the start of Jose Mourinho's first campaign as United manager. There we are. That makes sense. That makes sense. He's tried to carry on, and it's lasted 3 or 4 years, and the knee's basically given out on him. And it explains for the last few years why his performance had been going down. It gets worse. So Jones recalls a day when He completed one set of strides in training, so one training drill basically, and couldn't continue. Storms into the doc and says, enough's enough. I've had too many anti-inflammatories, too many injections, too many close shaves. I need this sorted. So he's tried for about 4 years. So basically what happened to Phil Jones in the end is he had to have something called microfracture surgery, which is one of the worst surgeries you have to have as a professional footballer. What it basically is the knee is so jacked up that they have to actually cause more damage to the knee in order to try and stimulate your body healing. So they drill into the joint surface of the bone, releasing blood and healing factors into the joint in like a last ditch attempt to get your body to try and heal it up even a little bit so you can continue. Terribly long rehab. He probably couldn't even weight bear for about 2 months afterwards. And the rehabilitation for that is so long and arduous, which is why he's been out for ages. And this explains the current situation with Phil Jones. He's had, probably 2 of the 3 worst knee surgeries you'd have to have as a professional footballer. One of the worst things you can do is take the meniscus out. They had to take the meniscus out. Then he had to have a microfracture, which is one of the longest recoveries afterwards. The good news is that now apparently he is doing some training with the first team, and he's done 2 90 minutes with the under-23s according to the article. In terms of what happens next, I hope he can get back, but it's such a difficult injury to come back from. Some people have really good results, and if you take your time with it, you can have really good results following the microfracture. But to play Champions League level twice a week for Manchester United Football Club is still a long journey back for him. So I hope that explains the severity of his injury. Please ask me questions in the Discord, in the comments. I can clarify anything that you didn't quite pick up there. I hope that makes that clear as to why he's been out so long. The meniscus is gone. The weight bearing capacity of his knee has really been disrupted, and it's given out on him basically. Stay tuned. The next one is incredibly interesting. I'm going to dive into some specific quotes and use it to explain the psychological pain that footballers go through when they're injured. So definitely ping the bell so you know when the next video is coming. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video. Ta-ra.